2030 AD. The conspiracy started in innocence. In order to better design a wireless communications appliance, a concept of circuit growth along a read/write memory plane was invented. A gel was fabricated that could be programmed to grow the most sophisticated circuits. The programming method was to use a holographic energy field that was phase modulated with the triggering commands. The liquid crystal would co-respond and accept its vector and value. The first breakthrough came when the doping compounds were toyed with and assigned new values. The next breakthrough came with the invention of the quantum teleportation equipment that could impart a twin characteristic on particles. Using CAT scan type of imaging, it was found that a device could be made in third-dimensional form. One day a pair of robots were conceived. Because of myths that the engineers joked with, the pair were nicknamed Adam and Eve. The information had just been downloaded from the cloud computer on the human genome experiment. We had our copy via the usual sources as a beta version. Since cloning was not a supported philosophy, we had to operate black budget again. The Wizard Jewelry booth was back as a cover for our enterprises. The last few years had seen a new financial bonanza as our cyber business had taken off and was a household word. The 16 of us had all donated samples of our genetic structure, and a comparison of all the possible combinations had been calculated. Adam would carry a dose of the 16 while Eve would carry a different dose of the same 16. We figured if we loaded the dice on the first pair that all possible combinations would still surface in the offspring except the few combinations we weeded out that seemed linked to disease. We were not trying to build superhumans, but they would be very healthy. The bioengineering on our core material was now back, and we needed to get it from the freeze-dried status and into the gel. We had found that a fast growth process could be induced with the right stimulation of electromagnetic fields. Our gel was doped with bioelectronic structure building blocks as well as nutrient and oxidation modules. The combination of plasma field technology as well as the use of conventional third-dimension circuit growth was adapted with our other technologies. Our pair grew from the inside out. We marveled as the bone structure grew before our eyes. The dancing lasers bearing ionic calcium reminded me of a light show I had seen long ago in England. The amazing thing about the whole 40 days that our twins grew was the amount of our building's electrical bill. We assumed we were using as much power as the whole office complex combined. Since we had been assured by our IGF contact that our project would be given the boost to life consciousness by soul emplacement, we were all quite the proud parents. It is now the birth of our twins, and we watch in awe as the dancing sparkles of the lasers becomes still. A vibration seems to fill the room as the 13 Hz transducers come to life. We know that many other signals and programs are still doing their job. The heartbeat, which we had started monitoring many weeks before, started to become stronger. As we watched, the first gasps of air were gasped in and out as we cleaned out the passages of the debris of the gel waste products. Soon we were talking to our 16-year-old newborn twins and were surprised to know that they claimed to be astronauts from 12,000 years in our past that had become trapped. So now we had this conspiracy that involved hiding the robots, who were human, but were 12,000-year-old teenagers, who officially do not exist as humans but as a computer program, from the UN and the various secret cabal operatives who were always in the shadows. Although we had learned a common language, the Atlantis/American vernacular, much time was spent in making up for the lack of common words that described our temporal dislocated cultures. The kids sat for hours watching the Sony TV in the den. While they were familiar with the aspects of telecommunications from their civilization, a simple can opener or skateboard seemed made of magic. A trip to the local Kroger food market would turn into a 3-hour museum tour with the wonders of each fruit or box or can had to be endlessly explained. Thanks to the aid of TV, we soon dropped our made-up language and English served them well. Some of my friends from South America furnished some school documents of kids back in Brazil, so we entered the pair into some online universities and local technical school. By the time they had arrived at their 21st year, by our estimation, each had found a friend of the opposite sex among their schoolmates and had diplomas and degrees and an identity that would fool even the man. By now you know that I am writing about the pair who just won the Nobel Prize for their work on reclaiming Mars' atmosphere in 406 days. And has launched their 40th FDL starship of human colonists to the Lyran star system. Yes, the very ones who own American/Atlantis Enterprises of Atlanta, of which I am 1/8 father to, my son and daughter Adam Faulkner and Eve Jordan. They have blessed me and the other donor/parents with grandchildren, Lisa Faulkner, Seth Faulkner, Melissa Jordan, Nova Jordan, and Isis Jordan. Lisa is now working after school at the bioengineering lab at AAE of A. She recently built a puppy which we named Stella, in memory of her genetic donor, our old black lab/setter that Sean saved from the pound back in 1998. Someday there has been talk of looking for some of Buddy's genetic material. Please like and subscribe at bobcolee.